Okay, there we go. Hey there, strangers. It's time for another 2 p.m. PC Twitch stream. I'm your host, Strange Bro Jim, and today we're going to be getting back into Pega. So I'm running a little late. It's currently 2:12 right at this moment in time, but it is just cold. I just did not really want to leave my bed in an electric blanket. I hate the cold. I know a lot of people hate warm weather and stuff like that, but I'm the exact opposite. I just hate cold. It just cuts cuts me to the bone, man. It's just, you know, ugh. Everybody says, just throw on some more layers, throw on some more layers, and it's like, then I'll never move. Okay. Um. Okay. Let's get the uh window to be set up here. For some reason, it's not showing right at this moment in time. What's going on here? Hello? Are you gonna work for me here? OBS? What's going on here? Are you not? There we go. It wasn't finding the window for some reason. Hey there, Bigfoot. You shall be lurking. Sounds good, my friend. Sounds good. No worries on that. Ooh. The Pega is probably going to be, uh, or the Pega topic here is probably going to be fairly short for the most part. Um, just as a heads up, um, this is not endorsed by Pega. Um, they're not like giving me the okay to do this or anything along those lines. This is my own personal means of getting to a point where I can take the system architect certification, so I have an easier time in getting jobs with Pega. Because obviously, anybody that is looking for any Pega developers, they're going to be looking for system architect certification, and I don't have that. So that's what I'm working on right now. You know, Slowly but surely getting to a point where I can take the certification for system architect again, and um, and you know, have a little bit more confidence in applying for said jobs because, well, I look at some of these jobs and they're like, hey, you need a minimum of the certification. It's like, well, I don't have it yet. And while I might know some details about Pega and how to work with it and use it and so on and so forth, I'm not going to say that I'm absolutely uh, a wizard at it, a guru. So, pardon me, I'm going to blow my nose again. Be right back. Oh, and welcome back to the stream there, Bigfoot. I appreciate when you come on back. Hopefully you don't find these particular sessions too boring for you, but okay. But I'm still working on the certification, as I mentioned. I'm doing these to one, reinforce my knowledge of Pega and try to reinforce my knowledge of Pega, and kind of keep on going to study through it all to get to that point where, when I do take the certification, I'll pass it. You know, if I pass it with the bare minimum, then I'll pass it with the bare minimum. I personally, I wouldn't like to, the uh, I know that, there have been times where I've struggled in classes before, but, and I don't consider myself a straight A student. I never really had, I never really felt that I had that level of intelligence to hit that. Um, or at least, my memory doesn't really, latch onto things, and, doesn't latch on to everything, you know. Um, it latches on to some very interesting, uh, like little bits of history from time to time, and it's like, it's often confusing how it can somehow catch some things and hold on to it instantaneously, and others I have to like constantly work on over and over and over again till it becomes, ingrained in the mind. So, um, but that's how I've normally learned is, is through repetitious, you know, you know, repetition. So, um, made me one of the reasons why I enjoy mathematics so much because typically the problems are fairly simple and they were repeatable. You know, go through any of the exercises in a math book, and you know you're doing a problem over and over and over again, multiple times, so that it kind of solidifies in your mind how to go about doing it. Um, same with programming. You know, um, okay, so um, I'm not a trainer. Don't think of me as a Pega trainer. Um, if you're looking at this thinking that you're going to be getting the same kind of quality, that you would get from instructor-led training, sorry, I'm not. I'm not a Pega trainer either. So don't don't make those assumptions. Please don't. You know. Um, now, I have had an instructor-led training before through my job, and we, as as our batch, the team that was being taught, we were not really happy with the instructions that we got. Um, there were quite a few of us that were asking to go back through the training again with a different instructor. Um, but that never happened. So, um, now I'm not gonna say that that's every that happens for everybody. I'm gonna assume that there hopefully there will be classes with actual decent instructors that will teach you everything that you want to know and will actually answer your questions. Um, but that didn't happen with me, so here I am. Um, now these videos will be uploaded to my YouTube channel. I have a playlist there already covering all the topics prior to now, so um, all the modules, everything so far, with the low-code app builder up to this point of capturing and presenting data. We are going to be clicking on views for the topic. We covered fields yesterday. Um, and we are going to be, uh, I don't suspect that we're going to be able to get to calculated values today. Um, calculated values was a very long topic, and I feel like I want to try to save that for like a dedicated video. Um, seeing that, fields took just as long yesterday. So I'm gonna assume that calculated values is gonna be just as long, if not longer. Adding in views is probably just gonna be like icing on the cake if I try to combine the two. So yeah, we're gonna hold off on doing that. Um, um let's see. What else? Uh, there's also business architect certification. So if someone doesn't necessarily have a programming background, if you're more like in the business side of things, um, you could go for the business architect certification. It's not as advanced as what we're going to be getting into with the system architect, um, but you know, it's still available if anybody wants to try to take it. Um, the certification, from what I know, um, isn't that expensive overall. Um, Here, let me see. Um, yeah, so 175 bucks, but that's for an exam. That's for a single exam. Okay. I don't know how, you know, uh, what the um, what the uh, how long a certification lasts for. You know, um, I don't think they've really addressed that per se, but um, I'm gonna assume that when you get this certification, it's gonna basically say that this person has been certified with you know this particular Pega platform version. So, um, excuse me. Um, so if you get your certification in, say, Pega Platform 3.0, and we're now in like 8.7, then they may be like, you may need to update your certification. So bear that in mind. You know, but I mean, if you've been working out in the field for as long as you know Pega's been around, kind of thing, then you're probably not really worried too much about your original system architect certification. You're probably more up towards senior and lead one, maybe. Hard to say. Okay. So yep, that's it for that. Let's go ahead and get into the topic, shall we? Okay. So views, as part of the completing as as part of completing work, a view is a component of the user interface that gathers information from a user or displays information to the user. Views display the fields necessary to complete the current assignment. In Pega Platform, views that gather information from a user are referred to as forms. And once again, you have the, you know, multiple words kind of doing, saying the exact same thing. You know, Forms are basically views. It's like, oh well. So, um, they could throw at you that forms display the fields necessary to complete the current assignment. They could throw that curveball at you, you know, and you might have to say yes, that's correct, so bear that in mind, for example, A loan application might provide online views with fields for applicants to enter their personal information, loan details, and relevant financial information. The application might provide different views for an internal loan officer who sees the applicant's information as read-only fields and enters the resulting approval or rejection decision and explanation into editable fields. Design views so that users can enter the necessary information into relevant fields. Pega platform stores the name of the field and the value of the user input as a data element, which makes the information reusable. The application can make the stored data elements available for editing or present the data as read-only. Consider process for making loans. In this example, there's two steps. The first step in the process requires customers to enter information for a loan application. The form contains the fields for entering information such as the customer's name, the loan amount, and the loan type. After customers complete the form, the system sends the request to the loan officers for review. In the second step of the process, the loan officers have a loan officer view that displays the data collected from the application. Loan officers can only read but not update the information. Okay, a little weird sentence structure there, but whatever. Um, the loan officer view, you capitalized loan officer up here, but you didn't do it down there. Be consistent. Also contains fields for officers to enter information such as loan insurance eligibility and whether the application is approved or rejected. In the center of the following image, slide the vertical line to view the steps of the loan application process. So here's the form where they enter in, John Doe, name, address, amount, and loan type and requested term for the loan application, and then of course uh, you have the loan officer here, and that's reviewing, all the information here. So, you know, do you qualify for loan insurance? Yes or no, true or false. Reason for approval. I mean, wouldn't that, the label there would probably have to be changed based off of whether or not the check mark gets selected or not. So if the check mark is selected, the label would show, reason for approval, and then of course you put in the information in there. If you have it unchecked, then it has a reason for disapproval, has the reason. Um, and then you have like an email that will send off, those details depending on, you know, how you want it to be presented to the customer, right? So like if you have it checked and reason for approval, you'd have, approval from loan officer, meets all credit requirements, blah blah, right? Or maybe it has the exact opposite, uh, you know, uh, your loan has been um, is not approved because you have a low credit score or something like that, right? So, a few considerations. During view creation, you determine the information that users need to see or collect to perform specific tasks. For example, you create a loan application view in which users enter specific information. The following image of the loan application view, click the plus icons to learn more about the items to consider and questions to ask when creating a view. So, field name, what fields do users need to see? I mean, that doesn't really explain what a field name is there, but whatever. Field type. How the users enter values in the fields. I mean, you're not really explaining these values here. Um, Edit options. Are the fields editable or read-only? Explain. You know, what do you mean by, you know, what happens when it's only read-only? I mean, I know what it is, but someone that from business might not really understand, why, um, might not fully understand everything that happens when you have a read-only field. So, um, obviously, editable, is understandable, and they can probably imply, what read-only is all about. But let's face it, there might be, you might need to kind of describe, everything that happens for a read-only field. You know, um, required. Are users required to modify the values in fields? I mean, wouldn't you have that in the edit options? You know, are the fields editable or read-only? If they are editable, are they required? I mean, that should be kind of like one big box there, folks at Pega. What's going on here? In the options list, you can mark any field as optional, read-only, required, and calculated read-only. Okay, explain those. You're not explaining them very well at this point. Oh well. The view is reusable configuration of UI elements that you can use to interact with the case. The form is an interface for collecting data from users and processing work. A form can have one or more views, but a form is a view. So a view can have a view inside of it. Gotcha. But the view is not always a form. Wait, what? Huh? Let me put this. Let me I wanna bring up both them a into two separate fields here. You know, but the view is not always a form. Views that gather information from a user are to refer to as forms. Okay. Okay. Take a step back, Jim. Take a step back. Um, if they're displaying information, okay, if they're only displaying information, if they're not taking in data, then it's not a form. It is strictly a view. So that's correct. So yeah, they're both correct. Okay. Okay. I wanted to take a step back on that, relook at that because I was like going, wait, hold on, what's going on here? Now, if they said, but the form is not always a view, then that would be like, wait, no, that's counter to what you mentioned before. Okay, so it's correct. It's correct. It's correct. For example, in an online shopping website, the customer needs to enter personal information and shipping information. Views can have UI elements such as first name, last name, state, country. Um, the form can have the submit and cancel buttons. I mean, can't you rename those anyway? I mean, you know, yeah, you're giving examples here, but I mean, these examples can be changed. So, um, they don't have to, strictly say submit. They don't have to strictly say cancel, blah, blah, blah. In the following image, click the plus icons to learn more about how forms, views, and fields work together to create an interactive web page for a case. Okay. So, view and navigation. The navigation pane is configurable with views where the customer can see different navigation menu options. Personal information. In the personal information view, the customer can enter personal details. Shouldn't, if they're entering in details, well, technically, this is still correct, personal information view, isn't it better for you to say personal information form? Because a form is when you enter in data. But, still technically, forms are views, so I mean it's still technically correct, but the fact that they're not reinforcing the fact that these sections where you enter in data is forms, so um, in the shipping information view, the customer can enter the shipping address. Once again, shouldn't that be form? The form shows the necessary information for which the customer enters the values. The form can have multiple views, fields, and buttons such as submit and cancel. I mean, these are still forms, though. I mean, granted, they're showing that hey, this is all the form and stuff like that, but technically these are forms too. But whatever. Like I said, they're still technically correct with the fact that they're still calling them views. Okay. Checking your knowledge with the following interaction. Which of the below statements are true about views? Choose two. Fields in a view can be marked as read-only. True. User can configure calculated fields in views. Not sure about. User can configure service level agreements in views. No. User can configure case status in a view. No. So, yeah, those are the correct answers there. You know, because, fields can be marked as read only. Um, you know, calculated fields can be created and used by providing calculation expression. Did they? Here, hold on. I didn't really feel like I read that. Okay, so they mentioned calculated here. But they didn't really explain this very much. So that's a problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and suggest an edit on that because um, that's a bit problematic. Uh, Pardon me while I tackle this real quick. Uh, and attached image, the question at the end, it talks about calculated fields. Counter in the topic itself. Um, uh, Information on what exactly they are missing. It addresses that there are read-only required calculated, and what was the fourth one? Optional. And optional um, options that the user or that the developer can use that it doesn't talk about what they are. So while the student can get the correct answer, they might not understand uh, providing calculation expression portion. There we go. All right. I mean that's it for the view. I mean we got about 15 minutes left. There's no way that I'm going to be able to get through the next topic in 15 minutes. There's too much there. Um, but let me. I mean, I have this other window open, so I might as well go ahead and select the two wrong answers to kind of show you what they say about why they're wrong. So you have the service level agreements and you have the case status. Okay. Um, both of these are in the section. Um, when you select on a um, collect information or process or stage or something like that, then you see those become available, on the right hand side, where you can kind of change the service level agreement or change the case status or like, but um, they don't really show you per se, you know, where the views are, like on the main like case type for the most part. Um, but I mean, they are showing you, um, the fields and the like here. So, um, but um, would you consider this a view though? Okay. Um, I would, I would say no. On like this particular window here, right? That's showing the fact that you can, set up fields, types, and options, right? I don't know if Pega really considers this like an official view. Okay. I would imagine that, you know, this right here in the application would be considered a view. More specifically, this would be a form for, the loan applicant to fill in the information, right? You know, this over here that shows the information collected would be considered a view, okay? Would it consider this a view? Probably not. You know, they might be addressing this as something else altogether. Although technically, I don't think they even addressed that yet. Um, I don't think they addressed, what exactly this window is per se. If I remember correctly. Okay. Could be wrong on that, but I don't know if they did, address, what this window is officially called. So, um, so when you look at both of those as wrong answers, it says service level agreements are configured on case types, stages, and steps, but not in views. So bear that in mind. Case status is configured on stages and steps in the case life cycle, but not in views. Okay, so basically they kind of repeated the exact same kind of answer to it. Um, didn't necessarily state why not in views. Um, which I mean, maybe that maybe that's a little bit more in depth or something like that. I'm not sure. You know, I feel like they might have. I mean, sure. I mean, they're not wrong, but I feel like they could have probably done that a little bit better. Like, why are service level agreements not in views? Why is case status not in views? You know, what is a view, in comparison to the service level agreements or case status? Why are they separated from each other? Why can't you have a service level agreement and case status in a view? That might actually be addressed in like other future missions or modules, like for the senior system. They might address that. They might address, um, they might address that, for the lead certification or something along those lines. I don't know. I'm just kind of, seeing, um, I'm seeing their answers, and I'm seeing the reasoning that they put here, and I feel like they could have done a little bit more to kind of make it a little bit more apparent. That's all. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say how they would be able to do that. I would have to kind of leave that to them, the experts, on how they would have to kind of change these answers to to make it a little bit more apparent as to why service level agreements or case status isn't a view, or isn't in view. Maybe they need to address that, up here somewhere. You know, um, for example, yeah, that they don't even address service level anywhere else in this topic at all. What about case status? Yeah, case status doesn't even show up either. So um, not sure. I mean, I feel like they could have probably done a little bit more on that, but it is what it is. Um, so yeah, that's going to be it for today. We are going to go ahead and close out this Pega topic. We are going to go ahead and go on to calculated values tomorrow. Like I said, there's not enough time to do calculated values right now because, I mean, well, it's end that hour. Although technically the video so far is only at 45 minutes, but like I said, I'm not going to be able to get through calculated values in 15 minutes. Um, Not when fields, which they say is 15 minutes, took an hour. So calculated views and calculated values would probably take, an hour or even more. It all depends. Um, so we'll address that tomorrow, and then we'll probably move on to the module quiz the day after. Um, Most likely, and then um, we will be moving on to the next uh, challenge, most likely after that, which is the adding fields to views. So that's what's coming up in our Pega journey. Um, these videos will be uploaded to uh, my YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, then thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Um, Hopefully you enjoyed this um, small little study session that I do. If you do, leave a like, comment, subscribe if you are indeed watching this on YouTube. It would greatly appreciate. Um, There's also some playlists if you're interested in, my other coding sessions that I've done and or, the gameplays, the let's plays that I do. So, um, I have multiple different playlists with hours of content. Well, heck, I mean, I was kind of talking about it yesterday that you know, could be, days, weeks, months of content for you to watch. So, um, so that's available if anybody is interested. So, but that's where we're gonna go ahead and close on down. We are going to go into our just chatting while I upload videos, and then we'll be doing Dragon Age Origins later on tonight. So, um, if you're watching me on Twitch, hopefully you'll stick around. But for those of you on YouTube, thank you for watching. I will be stopping the recording right now.